What if I told you there was a man so powerful he brought the demon king Muzan Kibutsuji to his knees, yet he lived a life filled with tragedy, betrayal, and unshakable horror? Meet Yoriichi Tsugikuni, the greatest demon slayer who ever lived. His story is not just about strength, but about loss, sacrifice, and the unyielding spirit to protect humanity. Today, we dive deep into the extraordinary life of Yoriichi Tsugikuni, the legend, the tragedy, and the man who shaped the world of Demon Slayer as we know it. Stick around because this isn't just a story, it's a tale that will leave you fascinated and maybe a little heartbroken. So let's begin. Yoriichi's journey began in the Sengoku period, a time as chaotic as it was unforgiving. He was born as a twin alongside his brother Michikatsu into the Sugekini clan, but twins were considered a terrible omen back then, and Yoriichi's fate was sealed the moment he was born with a peculiar birthmark on his forehead. His father, deeming the mark unlucky, wanted to end his life. Harsh, right? Thankfully, their mother, Akeno, stepped in and struck a deal. Yoriichi would be sent to a temple at the age of 10, but life didn't get any easier for him. Unlike Michikatsu, Yoriichi grew up neglected, confined to a small room, given poor food, and assumed to be mute because he never spoke. Yet, behind his quiet demeanor was a boy with extraordinary gifts. His mark wasn't a curse, it was a blessing, granting him immense physical abilities and the rare ability to see living beings in transparency. Oh, and let's not forget the handmade flute Michikatsu gave him. Keep that detail in mind, it'll hit you later. At the age of 7, everything changed. Yoriichi spoke for the first time, shattering the belief that he was mute. He declared he wanted to become a samurai like his brother. Family swordsmen decided to humor him, showing him a basic stance. What happened next shocked everyone. Yoriichi effortlessly landed 4 blows on the man. 4. This from a child who had never held a sword before. But here's the twist. Yoriichi couldn't stomach the violence. He renounced the idea of being a samurai, choosing instead to spend his days playing games with Michikatsu. This would have been a heartwarming moment if only their relationship had stayed this pure. After their mother passed away, Yoriichi went to Michikatsu's room at night to tell his brother the news and bid farewell, planning to leave for the temple that night. He expressed gratitude towards his brother, stating that he would always keep him in mind, and fondly tucked away the flute Michikatsu had made for him earlier. It was later revealed to Michikatsu through their mother's diary that Yoriichi had known everything about their mother's illness, how it weakened her left side, and Yoriichi's frequent attempt to support her and help her move around. It was also revealed that Yoriichi knew his father would make him his ayah and send Michikatsu to the temple, and he ran away to spare his brother. This act of kindness, however, sowed seeds of envy and resentment in Michikatsu. Yoriichi ran away from the house and didn't stop. After running straight for one day and one night without any sign of exhaustion to the mountains, Yoriichi met a girl around the same age as him named Yuta, whose entire family had died. Yoriichi chose to live with her, and after 10 years, the two married and even prepared to welcome a child. But fate had other plans. Yoriichi left home to summon a midwife, promising his wife to be back before the sunset. On his way, Yoriichi had helped an old man and lost so much time that he decided to return home and summon a midwife the next day. By then, the sun had already set. When he reached home, he found Yuta and their unborn child killed by a demon. For 10 days, he held her lifeless body in his arms. It was this devastating moment that reignited his purpose to become a demon slayer. Yoriichi's talent was unmatched. He pioneered the first breathing technique, sun breathing, the foundation of all other styles. His kindness led him to adapt to it for other demon slayers, creating the water, flame, wind, stone, and thunder breathing techniques. At some point during his days as a demon slayer, he saved Sumiyoshi Kamado and his wife Soyako from a demon attack. Since then, they became close friends despite having little interactions with each other for some time. Eventually, Yoriichi encounters Muzan Kibutsuji, the progenitor of all demons and mortal enemy of the demon slayers, accompanied by Tamayo. In a fight that should have been impossible, Yoriichi saw through Muzan's body, his 7 hearts and 5 brains. With a single strike, he brought Muzan to the brink of death. Muzan was left in disbelief at his inability to regenerate while struggling to keep his head attached. Yoriichi asked him what he felt was the value of life, but didn't receive an answer. He turned to Tamayo but was surprised to see her looking at her master's dismembered body with a hopeful gleam in her eyes. Moving to kill him once and for all, Yoriichi instead heard of the sound of teeth cracking as Muzan's body burst into hundreds of small pieces. Caught off guard, he was only able to destroy 1500 of the 1800 pieces, leaving the rest to escape from Muzan to regenerate again. In spite of Yoriichi's failure to kill him, Muzan never forgot the encounter and remained fearful of Yoriichi for the rest of his life. And Muzan escaped. leaving Yoriichi to carry the burden of failure for the rest of his life. Tamayo was left on the verge of tears as she realized Muzan learned how to avoid death by decapitation, cursing the survival of the man that ruined her life. Upon realizing the Kibutsuji curse failed due to Muzan being weakened so much, Tamayo was surprised. Yoriichi approached her, but he didn't immediately attack. Tamayo decided to tell him everything he needed to know about Muzan, and it was unlikely he would ever meet him again. As thanks for her aid, he let her go free, telling her he had faith in her will to end Muzan. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse, several demon slayers came to report to Yoriichi that his brother had betrayed the organization. Vijikatsu betrayed humanity by becoming a demon, Kokushibo. Despite this, Yoriichi never stopped loving his brother. Yoriichi took responsibility for Vijikatsu's betrayal, his inability to kill Muzan, and letting Tamayo escape. The other demon slayers demanded he kill himself as penance, but the newly appointed Oyakata ordered he be spared and allowed him to live in banishment. After his banishment, Yoriichi decided he had much on his mind and wanted someone to talk to. He could only picture his friends Sumiyoshi and Suyako and decided to visit them. He meets Sumiyoshi, sat down with him, and told him his entire story, from his beginning to his banishment from the demon slayers. Reminded of his tragedies and speaking of his regret at letting Muzan live and the countless deaths that would follow, Yoriichi grew despondent. Sumire arrives at the moment to ask for a hug. At Sumiyoshi's request, he lifts her up, making her laugh and squeal with joy, causing him to break down in tears and embrace her. Kuyako arrives shortly after to comfort him and treat Yoriichi to meal and cheer him up. While with the Kamados, Yoriichi would be asked by Soyako to perform the sun-breathing forms. He kindly did so, performing all the moves with such grace. He was likened more as a spirit than a human. Sumiyoshi would watch these demonstrations intently and keep them in his memories. On his last visit, despite being told he was welcome at any time, Yoriichi gave Sumiyoshi his Hanafuda earrings. Sumiyoshi and Suyako realized then this was going to be the last time he would visit. Overcome with emotion, Sumiyoshi called out to Yoriichi as he walked away, telling him to stop saying that he was a man of no worth. He reminded him that he saved them and promised to preserve the sun-breathing forms to his descendants. Hearing this, Yoriichi turns and smiles brightly, thanking the Kamados and waving them farewell. Despite being banished from the corps, Yoriichi would continue hunting demons independently, and he kept in touch with the Hashira. He befriended them with silent permission from the Oyakata. Meanwhile, the corps itself fell into disarray due to nobody being able to teach breathing styles as well as Yoriichi. In his last battle against Kokushibo, Yoriichi, though in his 80s, remained a force of nature. He struck Kokushibo's neck without Kokushibo able to even draw his blade. Angered at being surpassed again, Kokushibo waited for the next attack. Unfortunately, it never came. Yoriichi passes from old age untouched, angered that his one chance at a fair battle is gone, and the man who nearly killed Muzan and him is now dead and undefeated forever. Kokushibo would strike at his brother's corpse in scorn, only to realize Yoriichi carried the flute he gifted to him when they were both still children. Unable to sever his connection with Yoriichi, Kokushibo took the split flute and carried it with him. Even in death, Yoriichi's love for his brother remained unbroken. After his death, Muzan and Kokushibo wiped out the sun-breathing users, but Yoriichi's legacy lived on. He passed his Hanafuda earrings and sun-breathing forms to the Kamado family, ensuring the fight against demons would continue. Yoriichi's story is a mix of strength, sacrifice, and heartbreak, but his legacy didn't end with him. It continued through the Kamados and Tanjiro. Speaking of the Kamado family, have you ever wondered why Nezuko is immune to the sun? Click on the video on your screen now to uncover that mystery. Thanks for watching.